Well, hello again, everyone. This is Scott Thompson. We're here for our little video. It's a multi-part series video here on the sample plan that we created a few weeks ago for our Stock Investing for Beginners webcast. It's called the Two Green Arrows Sample Plan. Today we want to go over the buy signal and kind of how that works, give a few examples of that, of what to look for and kind of how to get ready for the buy signal so it doesn't catch you by surprise. Before we get started, let me go ahead and remind everyone our presentation today is for educational purposes, not a recommendation of any particular investment or investment strategy. Schwab does not recommend the use of technical analysis as the sole means of investment research. And remember, all investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Let me show you first where you can go to get some information about this particular trading plan. Here's the playlist on our Trader Talks from Schwab Coaching YouTube channel. And we've done about 7 episodes at this point. But in episode 3 is where I introduced the rules for this sample trading plan. It's a real simple kind of intermediate to longer term investing plan. And if you want to go check out that video itself or that webcast, I'll put the link in the description for this little short video. But let's jump over to our Thinkorswim page and just take a look at some sample buy signals. And I'll talk about kind of what is and what isn't a buy signal. But right here we have our chart. I have a 50 period simple moving average on the chart here in green. I have a 817.9 MACD histogram. This is a little different than the default setting. This one's just a little bit faster to give some signals. You'll see the green and red arrows that are on this particular MACD histogram. The way that you get these green arrows on the moving average and on the MACD histogram is when you go up to the studies page and you edit your studies. When you jump in here on the different studies, click on the gear and then just make sure that you have this show breakout signals says yes. The default settings normally no, and so you won't see those arrows, but this is what generates those arrows on the indicators. You would do the same thing for the MACD. All right, so again, the chart itself is set up with a 50 period simple moving average and a MACD histogram. And when both of those arrows are green, we consider that a valid buy signal if, okay, this is important, if the moving average is rising. We're trying to buy uptrending stocks and hold them until those trends are over. So I have a few examples here that I just want to go through and just walk through kind of day by day of how this would work for you. And you can kind of see, I'm going to add a little vertical line to my cursor so you can kind of see what day we're on. But on the right side, the far right side of the chart, the first question, as you go in to review your watch list is, does my stock have a buy signal? And if the stock's above the moving average, then we would say that that's a green arrow. Green arrows are green until they turn red, and this one turned green way back over here on the 2nd of May. And you can see we've had some green arrows on the MACD since then. But on the far right side of the chart, the status of the moving average is green, but the MACD is still red. You guys see that? Here about 4 days earlier, we got a red arrow. And so if we're watching this stock and it's in our watch list, number one thing to remember is it doesn't take very long to analyze this. I used to fret for literally, scores of minutes. We'll call it sometimes 45 minutes about wondering what I should do with a stock. But once you know the buy signal, it's pretty simple. We come home from work, we're doing our analysis, and we see, oh, I got a red arrow on the MACD. Guess what? We're done. Okay. Next day, we move the chart forward a day. And in this case, you can see the MACD turned green. They had an earnings announcement. Looks like earnings was good. At the end of that day, guess what? That's a valid buy signal. And we would just buy it there toward the end of the day. The arrows are active during the day, so it's possible that you might see a green arrow on an indicator, and then that indicator goes back to red or not green anymore, depending on what the price action is. But in this case, looks like it gapped up on the open, had a nice strong rally up to the high that day, which was about $90.72, and then closed a little bit off the highs. But at the end of the day, that was a valid buy signal. And so, in our class, if we didn't own the stock, we could do a purchase that day. If we already owned it, then this is a little nuance again. We could now adjust our stop. And I'll talk about that in another video. All right, so that's one example. Another one here is on AMD. AMD, you can see the stock's been trending up nicely. The moving average is rising. The MACD went red a few days earlier. It looks like it might go green the next day. We don't know. But this right now is not a buy signal. So again, if we're coming home from work, we're analyzing our watch list, and we see that there's no green arrow here, we're done. It only takes literally seconds to evaluate that. Then we come home from work the next day, and we still don't have a buy signal. So we just wait. Next day, there we go. Got a green arrow on the MACD. The moving average is rising, and the price is above the moving average. So that's a green arrow. Again, it went green way back over here on the 2nd of May, and it's green until when? Until it turns red. So that's a green arrow. And so at the end of the day, again, we want to generally wait till at the end of the day or near the close of that day just to confirm that we do indeed have a green arrow on the MACD. And at the end of the day, we might look to buy that near the closing price, which in this case was about 155.61. Okay. Now, the last example I want to show is just when you're taking a look at a stock that's been a little bit sideways. This is Apple. You can see that it's been trading in a channel for several weeks. And, you know, right here, the MACD is red, and it looks like it might go green the next day. Now, this is actually pretty current. You know, this is on 7/21 of 2025. And the moving average, this is something that's important. The moving average needs to be rising in order for that buy signal to be valid. So in this particular case, what would we look for? Well, you know, when the stock's trading in a channel like this, we can see the moving average is rising slightly at this point. And so what we generally look for is a close above this resistance area. You can see that that's about 213.94, call it 214. So if we get a green arrow on the MACD tomorrow, which is actually today, I'm doing this video on the 22nd of July, if that were to close above the resistance, some traders would look at that as a valid buy signal, and then they would purchase the stock based on that 2 green arrow plan that we're going over. So if I move the chart forward today, we can actually see the MACD is trying to go green. The stock's been kind of flirting with that 214 area, and you know, we're at 214.40 right now. Some traders would actually like to see it close maybe above the most recent high that we've had, which is right there about 216. So as a trader, you'll have to decide how you want to implement that rule. But we have a green arrow. The stock's trading kind of sideways. The moving average is rising. So theoretically or technically, it's a valid buy signal. But when the stock's been trading sideways like this, a lot of traders will wait for it to actually break out because, you know, during the day here just a couple weeks ago, it looked like it was going to break out and then fell back down, right? And, you know, that's kind of common when it gets up near this resistance area. So just be aware of that. You know, be sure to subscribe to our Trader Talks channel. Here's our Trader Talks webcast. It has lots of great different materials here. You can look at some short content. You can see our most popular videos. If you're new to Thinkorswim, you can get some great information here. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we'd invite you to do that. Appreciate your time today. And hopefully this is helpful for you as you look at the different ways to implement our trading system for the 2 green arrows. And again, I'll follow this up with some other videos. And have a great day, everybody.